You watch Automobile Drive, a channel where I teach you to buy the right car. And guys, today I have a BMW iX xDrive50, a car most of you will be shopping for as a lease special for $799 a month or $699 around the Christmas time. And when I rented this car, I had two biggest questions. Does this drive like a BMW X3 or X5, or is this completely different? And question number two, after spending a day with this BMW iX, would I be finally willing to switch from my BMW X3 M40i gas-powered version to this electric beast? Let's face it, both of them have exactly same lease special of $799 a month or $699 around the Christmas time, yet this car is $25,000 more than my X3 M40i, and you get 2 years of free charging with Electrify America. And if you watch Automobile Drive for the first time, well, this is the channel where I say, before you buy a car like this or any other car, do not settle for a 5-minute test drive around the dealership block. Instead, rent a similar car from places like Turo and drive it for at least 100 miles on city streets, highway, and twisted roads to be able to answer the biggest question I'm answering on this channel: how does it feel to drive? So I'm gonna take this car on the city streets to see, is this a good daily driver? Is it easy to live with this car? Then I'm gonna jump on the highway to discuss, is this a good cruiser for long distances? We're gonna check its sound insulation and mid-range power. And then finally, I'm gonna take it to the twisty roads where we're gonna discuss this car's safety and performance and see how does it stack up against its gas-powered rivals. And at the end of the video, I'm gonna jump into my X3 M40i, do a quick test drive, and finally give you a verdict. Am I switching or not? And first, a quick walk around this BMW iX50. Oh, we gotta stop right here. BMW, what is this thin taillights and this big kidney grills? I have two questions. Who designed this? And number two, who approved this? So this is the car when I say that BMW designed to completely different angle and approach, and I'm not a huge fan of this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Coming on the side, again, not a huge fan. You may like it. Let me know what you think. This particular car comes with a 22-inch wheels. These are 275/40 R22 front and rear. I was quite surprised to see that they didn't slap in like a 315s in the rear, but I may know why, because it's an electric car, and I'm gonna reveal why on the twisty roads. Now, coming on the rear, again, these thin tail lights, not a huge fan, but it kind of blends in well with this entire, futuristic style of this car. You may like it. Let me know what you think. Now, let's do a quick door sound check. Now, this has by the way, soft closed doors. If you leave it like this, it'll push it back in. Come on, do it. There you go. All right, let's do a door sound check. And to me, this sounds like a minivan door. Maybe because of the frameless windows. All right, let's get on the inside. All right, before I get on the inside, let me show you something cool. This is carbon fiber right here. It's really cool to see it in person. Now, this car is more than $100,000. It's loaded with options. One of them is these genuine leather seats, very, very soft, very cushioned seats. Even the headrest feels very nice. Now, this car also has what's called a luxury package, this walnut piece here with back lights, and even it has air suspension. You can see right here. This you can only get when you really load your car or pre-order it online. Now, let me go ahead and close the door. This is where you adjust your seats. I'm sure you pretty much watched the videos online, what this car looks like, but I just want to quickly touch base on the interior quality. Also, this car has 25,000 miles on odometer, so I'm going to discuss how does it still stand, like do I hear any creaks and noises in the cabin. Overall, everything is soft touch. I mean, I'm pretty impressed with the quality. Everything feels soft. I mean, it's very good quality. Leather wrapped steering. Everything is soft right here. Of course, it's plastic. It's a speaker, I believe, right? This is soft. There is some fabric material here. Probably can't see it really well, but it looks really good quality material. One thing I was surprised to see, this glass roof. I thought they would put a sunroof or something, but they went with like a Tesla approach. I like the sunroof open air experience, except that I get a sunroof rattles in my BMW. Otherwise, very spacious in the back. I liked it. Yesterday, I spent time with my wife, and she said it's a very comfortable car, which I'm gonna discuss right now. Let's go ahead and drive it. And first, I'm gonna test acceleration in BMW iX50. So I'm gonna throw the car in my modes, Sport, it took me some time to figure out that this my modes mode. I'm gonna activate the sport mode, which is gonna turn off the traction control as well. So we are ready. Let's go ahead, put it in drive and launch it. All right. And we're listening to Hans Zimmer. That's the sound delivered through the speakers. All right, now this car has 0 to 60 official 4.4 seconds, which is exactly the same as my X3 M40i, but it feels much faster. This car feels like it's 3.9, 3.8 seconds. Let me tell you this, it feels really fast. I'm gonna approach the stop right here, and we're gonna do one quick lunge, and also to actually check out the brakes. All right, stop. All right. Now, let's go. Oof. Yeah, it is quick. One thing you know about electric cars, right? They deliver power, like their torque instantaneously, and that's what feels fast. Like the same gas-powered car may not feel as fast as electric does from the get-go. Now, what about the brakes, right? Let's stop right here. Testing the brakes and stop. There's a little lean forward, but it stops pretty confidently. Another quick launch. And let's discuss this. So I'm pretty satisfied with the power. I think it's more than adequate. I probably don't even think you need M60. And we're gonna discuss M60 as well, if you really need that car or not. A quick turn in right here. As far as brakes, this car, I can tell, feels the weight, okay? It does it pretty well. It stops pretty well. It has pretty strong brakes, but you can tell when you spend like a day, like I do, right? That's why you shouldn't just test drive a car around the dealership block. You should actually spend a day with it. You will see that the car does feel the weight, and let's face it, it's around 5,600 plus pounds. So it's around 600 to 700 pounds heavier than the base X5. So this car is heavy. It has a 111 kilowatt battery pack, which is more than, let's say, Tesla Model X. And Tesla Model X is more than 500 pounds lighter than this car. So BMW has some criticism that their electric cars like i4 and this one are heavier in general. But let me tell you this, they are masking this weight really well, and that's what I noticed in this BMW iX. Like, by no means it's not able to carry this weight. It does it really well. It does it in style. So it accelerates really well, brakes pretty confidently. It's just when you know how different cars brake, you can tell the difference, and you can tell that this is a heavier car that's braking. But it does it pretty confidently as well. The next thing I want to talk about steering in this car, and steering in this car is on the lighter side. It's kind of like, not like light, but it's light to medium, more on the lighter side. And of course in the sport mode, it's a little tightened. Actually, let's go ahead and go to my modes. And usually you have your own individual personal mode, which I'm gonna activate right now, so we can discuss steering a little more. Now, steering is very responsive. It is super light and responsive when you want to steer through low speeds. And that's one thing. It's gonna be easy to drive this car for ladies, anyone. Like, it's effortless. The steering the car just listens to it so well. It is quite engaging steering. And where I criticized BMW i4 for, you know, where they use the same 4 Series platform and they made the car heavier, and they didn't use the low center of gravity to its advantage. In this car, which I'm going to discuss on Twisty Roads, low center of gravity is felt really, really well, and they are using it to its advantage. I mean, such an effortless driving. I mean, you can just toss this car in the corners. The body just follows really, really well. There is some body lean, but it's pretty normal because it's a tall car. But overall, because of its low center of gravity, it kind of pulls it to the ground, and the car kind of moves, you know, it slides. It moves very flat overall. And this feeling you can only experience in electric cars when they are done right, like Teslas. I felt it in a Hyundai Ioniq 6, not 5, as much. Of course, all Teslas, you feel that. And then this BMW iX, you can feel it as well. I'm gonna bring more electric cars on the channel, like Porsche Taycan and all that, so make sure to subscribe to this channel. Now, next thing, let's talk about suspension in this car. Let me go ahead and drive on my favorite bumpy road. And now driving on my favorite Tampa Avenue, where I can experience all this imperfections on the roads. And how does this car drive? I mean, this car has air suspension. That's $1,000 extra option, and it just feels like there's a butter all over the road. It just eats up all the imperfections, everything, even all these humps. It just swallows them. I mean, this is the most comfortable car I've probably driven, even more comfortable than the Lexus RX 500h, you know, on the regular suspension. Wow, it's just so impressive how it just eats all its imperfections, just glides over them very nicely, very silky smooth. It's just impressive, this suspension. I highly recommend. Now, I'm curious, and let me know if I get enough curiosity about this car. I can bring the base one, iX50, with the regular suspension, not the air suspension that this car has, and I can bring the M60i as well, M60. So let me know what you think. So while I'm super curious about the regular suspension now, but for $1,000, I think it's a steal for this air suspension. Not only it will be more comfortable, but also at the higher speeds and in sport mode, the car will tighten up to deliver that performance. So let's just quickly discuss, what is it like driving this, like daily driving it, for ladies, for anyone with a family. Overall, it's a very tossable, easy to live car with. Like, the steering is super responsive, it's easy to make turns, it's a higher platform, and of course with the air suspension you can raise it even more if you want, but I don't think it's necessary. So it's gonna be a very easy to live with car. Instant acceleration, and you have your Hans Zimmer delivering these iconic sounds for you, electric sounds. It's fairly good brakes, strong brakes. Could be stronger, but fairly strong. And overall, I mean, you have everything you need in this car. So it's a very, very easy to live with this car, and it delivers on its performance and comfort pretty well. Now, I would say this car is about 65% comfort and 35% sport. And how much sport it really has, we're gonna unpack on twisty roads. Now, let me go ahead and jump in on the highway so we can discuss what is it like driving this car for some hours. And before I merge the highway, just want to hit more of these bumpy roads just to appreciate this air suspension, guys. Very impressive. Like, this is the car where you want to like go through imperfected roads just to see how it does it, how it glides over these, you know, imperfections, little potholes and all these things. It's really, really nice. Now, another thing, before renting this car, one thing I was curious is like, will this have a BMW DNA? How will this car actually feel driving, right? I've driven already quite a few electric cars, like, you know, Volkswagen ID4 and Teslas. And one thing I noticed, this BMW iX does have BMW DNA. When you drive around town, highway, twisty roads, you can feel it's connected to the road, okay? It's soft, it's impressive, like it's a soft car, but nevertheless, it still has that connection to the road where it feels like it's a driver's car. You know, that's what's cool about it. Of course, hitting on ramps is just easy task. With 516 horsepower, it's a very easy task. So it has that BMW charm that's gonna just make you feel good about driving this car. So it's not just good, comfortable for passengers, for rear passengers. As a driver, you're gonna enjoy it. Now, is it as engaging as, let's say, X3 M40i? The answer is no, but it's different. Now, how is it different than X5? It's more engaging than X5. X5 feels a little bit dumber, kind of, right? It's still good for what it is. It's a BMW, it's a very iconic SUV, but this feels more engaging than X5. That is 100%. So if you are transitioning from X5, then you're gonna like how this car drives. And actually you're gonna save a lot of money, right? Because X5 leases run like through the roof, like north of $1,000. Now, as far as X3 M40i, well, I'm gonna deliver that at the end of the video and tell you how they're different. Now, let's talk about sound insulation in this car, right? We are at 65, and let me just be quiet for a moment. And it shows 63. That's really, really good. Usually I get 65, 66 in other cars. But basically, let me describe that. Sound insulation is really good in this car. It's very quiet. Of course, you can hear cars passing by if you are passing different cars, but it's fairly quiet. I do hear a little bit of tire noise. That's because we're in 22s, so if you get the 21s, and I would personally get 21s, I think it'll be even a little bit less. But overall, it's a fairly quiet car. Now, what is it like driving in on long trips? First of all, seats are super comfortable, right? And especially these leather, genuine leather seats. So you can just chill and relax. And if you have a driver assistance pro package, of course, then you can set it and not forget it, but you know, you can enjoy cruising in this car. Very, very comfortable car to spend time in. This air suspension, does it feel floaty? Well, here's another thing. Despite this car being so heavy, it feels really well connected to the road. This is what impresses me the most about this BMW. So it only feels here and there a little bit floaty when you drive it fast on the bumps and imperfections. Then it feels a little bit, there's a little bit of floatiness that you see in heavier cars, but it still manages this weight really, really well. And on the highway, it's just a no-brainer. It's like easy task for this car. Now, last thing I want to check is the mid-range power. Is it easy to overtake other cars? And I like to do this test, but mostly with underpowered cars, because for this car, it's just such an easy task, right? Such an easy task. All right, it's just, you floor it. This is what people get addicted to, right, with electric cars, is that you floor it and you're in the game. You can pass anyone you want. All right, so this is what it is for the highway. Very easy to drive it. Now, one thing I like it compared to, let's say, Tesla, is that you don't get that motion sickness. This feels like a normal car, unless of course you do a one pedal driving. You can get a little bit after you spend hours, but I already spent many hours yesterday. I spent some hours today, and so easy. I don't feel any fatigue, or I don't feel tired from this car. Now let's head out to the canyon roads. And now I'm gonna drive BMW iX xDrive50 on the Twisty road. I'm gonna put it in sport mode. I'm gonna agree, activate it. All right, we are already locked in. Let's go. Now, the biggest reason, if you're watching first time 100 mile drive, I bring cars on the Twisty roads is basically to discuss their balance, to discuss their safety. Like if somebody brakes in front of me, will I be able to overtake this car in the city or maybe even a highway? So on the Twisty roads, the car opens up. So if you have a chance, then part of your test drive should be driving a car on Twisty roads, as you're gonna see especially how chassis behaves. All right, let's take some corners and discuss what is this car is all about. I've already driven it quite a few times here. And especially, how does it manage its heavy weight, right? So corner number one, corner number two, and let me jump into it immediately. So if you drive it at fairly moderate speeds, then it'll manage its weight really, really well. Let's take this corner right here. Basically, the chassis stays pretty planted. Now, let's not forget, in this air suspension tightens up in a sport mode, so it doesn't dance, it doesn't wobble, doesn't wander. There's no horsey floating type motions. It stays pretty well connected. That's what I like about this. But if you take it to a little higher speeds, that's where it's gonna feel the weight, because this car is designed for comfort primarily, yet it has really good sporty attributes, and that's why I'm pretty impressed with this car, that it's more engaging than X5. It does pretty good job in handling these corners. The steering is very pointy. Here it feels right. On Twisty roads, it feels pretty good. And let's take another corner right here and jump in. Yes, it does pretty well. So, you know, if you go a little faster, then there'll be a little understeer, but it's very well controlled. One thing sometimes you see in electric cars, at the higher speed, chassis will start dance kind of around. So this is what I don't see here. So BMW did pretty good job. All right, going through this corner and then another corner immediately right here. I also like there's no shifting left to right of the body. There is some leaning, but it's very, very well controlled. Man, pretty pleased with this chassis, how well BMW designed this. So what I'm curious is in M60, right, iX M60, in sport mode, in the same air suspension, does it tighten up even more? That's what I called today BMW Genius, and they could not answer that question. They just said it's more sporty. But how is it more sporty? Like, they couldn't give me any details. Because for comfortable cars, this is good. This is really good. Now, is it as good as X3 M40i? Maybe not. No, this is not a car you want to aggressively take corners, okay? This is not a car where, you know, it does really good in the sport mode. It does really good in basically it's a comfortable car that drives really well when you want to, you know, play with it a little bit, but it's still not designed for aggressive cornering. So this is just a little glimpse of what this BMW iX M650 is capable of. Now let me go ahead and jump into my X3 M40i. All right, starting my car. And now driving my X3 M40i, I'm gonna put the car in sport mode, not sport plus, just sport mode individual. I have it configured to exactly the way I want it. I'm gonna throw in a sport display. And let's just do a quick lunge right here. Just a quick lunge. Oof. Wow, that's fun. So yeah, obviously this car delivers joy, delivers fun and power in a completely different way. Is it better? Is it worse? The answer is no. It's not better or worse. One more. It's different. It is different. It's very engaging. Of course, you want to compare BMW iX more to the X5, right? And that's what I'm going to summarize right now. But jumping right from the electric car into the gas-powered car, immediate thing you feel is the more engagement, right? Although electric cars are very engaging in terms of the acceleration, but here is like how you hear these crisp shifts, downshift, loud engine. Yeah, that's exactly what kind of hooks you with gas-powered car, okay? Oof. Yeah. All right, that's just a quick glimpse, and let me go ahead and summarize this. And I just completed driving BMW iX50 xDrive in the city, highway, and twisty roads, and even drove my X3 M40i real quick just to jump from electric car to the gasoline. And here are my thoughts. Now, this car overly impressed me, meaning I expected something from this car, but it over-delivered the way it handled everything. I expected this acceleration, of course, but the suspension is what impressed me the most. I think they've done a fantastic job in terms of managing its weight. Now, I would give this car, as far as my feel score that I give on my channel, 10 out of 10, only if it was about 500-600 pounds lighter, kind of like Tesla Model X, maybe even a little bit lighter. Then I think this car would do even better. But even the way it is today, right now, I highly recommend this car. So if you're jumping from X5, then yes, you will totally like this, because I reviewed X5 last week, and this is far more engaging in terms of steering, in terms of suspension, obviously more powerful than the base X5. Now, as far as my car, X3 M40i, even though it's the same lease special, I find that car a little more special for just the engine note, crispy transmission shifts, the power it has. It just feels more special. Maybe I'm saying that because I'm being biased towards the gas engines. I mean, look how legendary those gasoline engines are. B58, N63, N54. We can write the whole history about those engines and read about it, right? Whereas electric engines, like, who cares? Like, nobody talks about them. They more talk about the battery development, but electric engines are pretty much the same. So that's just my thoughts, okay? But again, back to this car, I think it's fantastic for what it is, and I think it's a great car for anyone who's considering this, either an upgrade or if you are deciding between the X5 or BMW iX. I highly recommend this if you want to go electric and save money, obviously. Now, and if you want to watch my other video where I compare BMW X5, if you want to see how that feels to drive, compare it to my X3 M40i head to head, drove them back to back, then go ahead and watch that video, and I'll catch you soon. This is a huge problem with non-Tesla EV charging. These EVgo stations in Reseda are dead. Here I came to Electrify America, and what does it say? Charger unavailable.